Have you ever noticed how we sometimes look at scripture with unintentional bias? Here's what I mean. We will oftentimes hear stories like David and Goliath, and we think about that. We start applying it to our own lives. And in that application, we are David, and whatever big scary thing is in front of us is Goliath. And we start, I'm coming at you in the name of the Lord, whatever this giant thing that's in front of us is. And that's fine. But when we really break scripture down and when we really focus on who is the star of the story, all throughout scripture, who is the star of the story, we would get a whole lot more out of our lives with Jesus. We would get a whole lot more out of our lordship if we thought correctly. Because the truth is, most of the time, we probably have a whole lot more in common with Goliath than we would like to admit. And the thing is, it's still true that the Lord will kill giants for us. He will slay giants for us. Just same way we had the Israelites going into the promised land and there were giants in the land. Like all of that is great. But there's just more to it because the fact of the matter is we are not the stars of the story. That's not who we are. That's not the role that we get to play. If anything, we're supporting cast. But I do have a feeling that we'll get to heaven and realize, oh, we were like nothing more than extras because it's not about us. There's a prayer in 2 Kings that Elisha prays where he and his servant are surrounded by an enemy army. And the servant is like, what are we going to do? There's so many more of them than there are of us. And Elisha prays, Lord, open his eyes to see that there are more with us than against us. And the Lord does open the servant's eyes to what's going on in the supernatural. And he sees just this host of angels that are fighting for us. And that is also true. There is more with us now, today, as Christians than are against us. And we see that in the New Testament too. Greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. These things aren't false, but it's still not us that's the star of the story. So when I think about that phrase, open their eyes, my prayer for us as Christians, especially American Christians right now, is that God would open our eyes to see that he is the star. Jesus is the star of the story. You know, the best thing about getting to heaven is not going to be streets of gold, although that's got to be pretty cool. It's not going to be hearing angels all the time, singing some of the same things that maybe we've sung here on earth. It's not going to be the constant presence of like immaculate worship. It's going to be the fact that Jesus is there. That's the best thing. I don't know if you, like me, have often had like questions or, you read something in scripture and I'll make little notes like, man, when I get to heaven, I want to ask about this. Or when I get to heaven, I would like to have a conversation with Eve. When I get to heaven, I want to see this person. I want to see y'all. None of that's going to matter. The best part about heaven is Jesus. And the best part about our Christian lives here on earth as we wait for heaven is still Jesus. He is the star there. He is the star here. And at best, we are supporting characters in the story that he is writing through our lives. But it is so easy to get stuck on what we see. All we can see is all we can see, right? Everything that's in our life, everything that's in our world right now, that is what we are obsessively focused on because we can't see anything around it. We can't see any other way around it. There are breakthroughs we're waiting on the Lord to do in our lives. There are mountains we're waiting on him to move, and all we can do is just stare at that mountain. But my encouragement to us now is stare at Jesus. That's all going to get handled. But Lord, would you open our eyes to see that it is all about you and it has always been about you. And that as we fix our gaze on the true star of the story, not only will he keep our minds in perfect peace, according to the book of Isaiah, but he will also take care of everything else which concerns us. We have that promise in Isaiah. He will keep in perfect peace him whose mind is stayed on him. But we also have the promise of Matthew 6, right? That if we seek first him and his kingdom, then everything else gets added. And we will have a life and a life more abundant here on earth. We don't have to wait for heaven for that part. But it only comes when we open our eyes and we realize it's not about us, that he is the star. Hi, my name is Kylie Christine, and I think that we can all attest to the fact that sometimes life does not go according to our plans. So my blog is a place that I hope we can all be encouraged in those seasons of life where things kind of seem to go off the rails. Encouraged in our faith to continue pursuing the things of God, and encouraged in Christian community to sustain us while we are here in this place that we never planned on being. So go check it out, KylieChristine.com.